Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Welcome, dear learners. This is a video for the subject of education, for the course of Bachelor's in Education, and for the paper of Conceptual Foundations of Education. The topic is Introduction to Education and Related Concepts. And in this lecture, we will be covering the concepts of teaching, training, instruction, and indoctrination. This video lecture is recorded by Dr. Iram Khan. The course coordinator and the presenter for this video is Dr. Iram Khan from Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. The academic expert or the reviewer for this video is Professor Jasim Ahmed from Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. This video is produced under the project DTH Swayam Prabha channels of MHRD, New Delhi. Dear students, I am Dr. Iram Khan, Assistant Professor at IASC Faculty of Education, Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. Today we are going to take up the topic of Introduction to Education and Related Concepts, wherein we are going to discuss on the concept of teaching, training, instruction, and indoctrination. So let us see what exactly these terms are all about. The objectives of this lecture will be to discuss the concept of teaching and its various attributes, to describe the concepts of training, instruction, teaching, and indoctrination. And we will elaborate on the differences between these terms, which are training, instruction, teaching, and indoctrination. So first is the concept of teaching. In the earlier lecture, we have seen that what exactly is meant by education. We have also seen the different definitions given by different eminent personalities for education. Here we are going to emphasize one of the components of education, because we have seen that education is a very broad term and there are several components which actually make the process of education wholesome. So the first concept which we are going to discuss is the concept of teaching. What is teaching? Basically, teaching is a process in which one individual teaches or instructs another individual, or basically transacts the knowledge from one person to another person. So teaching is considered as the act of imparting instructions to the learners in the classroom situation. It is very much systematic in few of the ways. Then John Dewey considers it as a manipulation of the situation, where the learner will acquire skills and insight with his own initiation, his or her own initiation. Once we talk about those people who have given certain definitions of teaching, the first person whom I would like to mention is H.C. Morrison. He gave the definition of teaching in this way. He says that teaching is an intimate contact between the more mature personality and a less mature person. This is a definition by H.C. Morrison. Then there is another definition which is given by Jackson. Jackson says that teaching is a face-to-face encounter between two or more persons one of whom can be the teacher, intends to affect certain changes in the other participant, who can be in this situation the student. So this is something which is defined, a definition given by Jackson. Then there is another definition given by Gage. Gage says that teaching is interpersonal influence aimed at changing the behavior potential of another person. Then comes the next definition, which is given by Clerk. He says that teaching refers to activities that are designed and performed to produce in students' behavior. So this is something which informs us that how by the act of teaching we are trying to transform the behavior, the way of behaving of a student or an individual. If we try to understand the concept of teaching much more, then there are certain viewpoints in which we can actually define or categorize the process of teaching into. So what are these viewpoints? The first way of teaching can be the authoritarian way. The other way of teaching can be the democratic way, and the third one is laissez-faire. So let us see that what exactly these three viewpoints are actually saying or defining teaching. First way is the authoritarian way. According to this viewpoint, or according to the authoritarian viewpoint, teaching is an activity of memory level only. This teaching does not develop thoughts and attitude in the students. So basically the authoritarian style says that only memorization is done. Once this teaching is happening, the teacher or the person who is teaching is actually making the students memorize. And in this way, this type of teaching does not develop thoughts and attitudes in the students. The authoritarian way of or point of view of teaching is known as the thoughtless teaching. So this teaching is what in which the teacher is basically at the center, or basically the teacher-centric way of teaching can be referred to as the authoritarian style of teaching. Then comes the next way, which is the democratic teaching or democratic viewpoint of teaching. According to the democratic teaching style or way of teaching, teaching is done at understanding level. Memory level teaching is the prerequisite or the concept which should be there, and this is a prerequisite, and we can say that first the memorization can be done or can happen, and then the understanding can happen. This viewpoint is actually referring to that first memorization is happening and then comes the understanding. So such teaching is known as the thoughtful teaching, because whatever this child is memorizing, he or she is trying to understand it also. So that is why it is also referred to as the thoughtful teaching. Teaching is an interactive process. According to the democratic teaching style, it is an interactive process primarily involving classroom talks, which takes place between the teacher and the student. So here the reciprocal process is happening. Here the students can ask questions and even criticize the teachers. Here the students can ask the questions, and self-disciplined or a kind of self-discipline is actually maintained. So this is something where there is no any forced discipline. Basically the students or those who are receivers are self-disciplined. So this is called as the democratic teaching, or referred to as the democratic teaching. Then the next one, which is the laissez-faire attitude. What exactly This means, or according to this particular way or the viewpoint, basically this inculcates the reflective level teaching. It is more difficult than the memory level and the understanding level of teaching, because reflection is actually, it happens only once everything is internalized. And for internalizing, first we have to go ahead and actually inculcate some knowledge, and then to understand, and then only we can make a reflection on any of those things. So the memory level and understanding level teachings are must for the reflective level of teaching. This level, the laissez-faire level, is a highly thoughtful activity. In this level, both the students and the teachers are the participants, and this level produces insights. So this is the third way, or the laissez-faire way of teaching. Now let us see the nature and characteristics of teaching. What exactly is the nature and the features of this term called teaching? Teaching is a social and cultural process which is planned in order to enable an individual to learn something in the life, or basically to understand or internalize something in this person's life. We can make a description of the nature and characteristics of teaching in different ways. What are these ways? The first way is teaching is a complete social process. The next point is that teaching is basically undertaken for the society and by the society. With ever-changing social ideas, it is not possible to describe exact and permanent nature of teaching. Then teaching is giving information. The next point says that teaching is also giving information. So teaching tells students about the things they have to know, and students cannot find out themselves. Basically, the communication of knowledge is an essential part of teaching. So the teachers are those people who actually communicate the knowledge or transfer their knowledge to the students. So this is the essential part of teaching. Then teaching is an interactive process. Everybody should be agreeing on this point. Without interaction, teaching is very difficult or about impossible. So teaching is an interactive process between the student and the teaching source or the teacher. Or in few of the cases, even there are machines or the computer, or few other ways in which the source uh, can be teaching the students. So this is essential for the guidance, the progress and development of students, that there should be a teacher or somebody who is transacting knowledge and somebody who is receiving knowledge. Then knowledge and even the reflections or any sort of transaction. Then we can say that teaching is a process of development and learning. Then teaching causes a change in behavior. Change is in behavior. According to the behaviorist school of psychology, they say that like change in behavior is very much desired. So we can say that teaching causes a change in behavior. Then teaching can be considered as an art and also a form of science, because it is an artistic way in which we deal with the students or the human beings, and this process of dealing with the human beings is very much scientific. Teaching may be the face-to-face encounter, and it also can be through different mediums. As we have seen nowadays, we are experiencing this online medium through which we are interacting with our students. So face-to-face interaction can be done. Then the blended mode is there, where at times there are online interactions, at times we come with a face-to-face encounter. So some sort of interaction of thoughts have to be done either face to face or through different mediums. Teaching is a process which is observable, At times it is measurable and modifiable. As you have seen that in case of the summative assessment, even we can measure that how much interaction or how much transaction of knowledge has happened, how much the child or the student has acquired. And then if there is something which is to be modified or there are certain things which are to be changed, we can do it by the efforts. Then teaching is a skilled occupation. Yes, this is very true. That teaching without any training is not possible. That's why there are teacher education institutes, and we provide specific type of skill set training to the teachers, or a kind of knowledge integration is done if somebody is willing to become a teacher. So every successful teacher is expected to know the general methods of teaching learning situations. Then teaching facilitates learning. Very true, because learning, if it is guided, then it is actually going to take place much more properly and appropriately. So this more knowledgeable other or the teacher is somebody who facilitates learning. And teaching is both conscious and an unconscious process. This is also very much true, because teaching can't be an unconscious process. So we can say that teaching is both conscious and an unconscious process. Teaching is from memory level to reflective level. Then teaching is a continuum of training, conditioning, instruction, and indoctrination. We are going to make a kind of overview of all these terms, where the training or the instruction process and this typical term of indoctrination, which is taken sometimes negatively, we are going to see that how these things are related with each other and also with the process of teaching. So the concept of training, at times it is also, it can be considered as conditioning. So what does it means? Training actually constitute a basic concept in human resource development. We can see that in case of different industries, or in case of skill set development, trainings are given. So it is concerned with the development of a particular skill to a desired standard by instruction and practice. So training is a highly useful tool that can bring an employee into a position where they can do that specific job for which they have been kept. And this job can be done correctly, effectively, and very properly if they are trained. So training is the act of increasing the knowledge and skill of an employee for doing a particular job. If we try to define training, then in the words of Dale S. Beach, he defines training as the organized procedure by which people learn knowledge and or skill for a definite purpose. So training refers to the teaching and learning activities carried on for the primary purpose of helping members of an organization to acquire and apply the knowledge or the skills or the abilities and attitudes needed by a particular job and organization. So first we have to see that if we want to make a distinction between training and teaching, or if we want to relate this term training and teaching, how we can do this. We have seen that training is teaching or developing in a person or in different persons any skills and knowledge or fitness that relate to specific useful competencies. Training has specific goals of improving a person's capability, capacity, productivity, and performance. So this particular skill set, which is being like on which this person is being trained, is actually the focus. If we try to make a comparison between teaching and training, how we can do? In case of teaching, teaching basically aims at the development of potential and intellect of an individual, whereas training aims at modification of behavior and learning habits. Teaching is having a broader scope, but training is not having a broader scope. Training is scoped for conditioning a person's kind of skill set. So we can say that training has a relatively narrower scope. In case of teaching, reinforcement is not necessary. But in case of training, reinforcement plays a vital role. In case of teaching, repetition of the taught subject matter is not necessary. But in case of training, because we are trying to make the skill set precise, we try to make the conditioning. And conditioning is done by the repetition of behavior to be acquired. So here, in case of training, repetition is very much required. Again and again, we have to make a kind of practice. Then only we will be trained in a proper way. Then, in case of teaching, there is a curriculum that is very comprehensive. But in case of training, the curriculum is fixed, or we can say that there is a small skill set which is on which this person is to be trained. So in case of teaching, qualitative and quantitative techniques are used for evaluation. But in case of training, evaluation in conditioning is done on basically this. Why we are talking about the conditioning? Because we are making a skill set precise. So evaluation in this process of training is done on the basis of the acquisition of a behavior or a habit, or getting the knowledge of this particular skill set on which we are providing the training. Teaching is a broader process with various levels, while training is considered as the lowest level of the entire process of teaching. Because here we are only focusing on getting actually the skill set precised. Now let us see the concept of instruction. What exactly is this concept of instruction all about? So instruction is the act of telling the learner what to do or what not to do. Instruction is vital for education, as it is the transfer of learning from one person to another. Anytime you are giving directions, or you are telling somebody how to do something, or how to actually go and how to get something done, you are actually giving the instructions. And if somebody is giving you directions, then you are receiving the instruction. So the noun, this particular term, or this noun instruction, is related to the word structure. Both share the Latin root structus, which means to build. It refers to the action of teaching and the job of a teacher. It can also be used to denote the directions themselves. So consider the word's connection with structure. So effective instruction is presented in an orderly and structured manner. So if you want that whatever you desire can be done very properly, then the instructions which you are giving in terms of getting that task done should be very much orderly and structured. And one by one, like the stepwise instructions can be prepared and can be delivered. Then only you can expect a perfect task done which you were expecting. Now, if we want to make a comparison between the instruction process and the teaching process, how it can be done? We have seen that instruction is the act of telling the learner what to do or what not to do. But if we are going to make a comparison between teaching and instruction, the first thing is that we have seen earlier also that the scope of teaching is wide. But in this case, the scope of instruction is narrow and limited. In case of teaching, both formal and informal type of teaching can happen. But instruction is always a formal thing. It can't be informal, because if it is informal, then there will be no structure. And in case of instruction, structure is very important. Then teaching is a continuum for modification of behavior. According to the behaviorist school of psychology, we have seen that modification of behavior is one of the thought process which is given for teaching. But in case of instruction, it can be a part of teaching where the teacher is actually instructing, providing some steps for going ahead. So you can say that instruction can be one of the parts of teaching. It can't be complete teaching, but it can be the part of the teaching process. So teaching means the development of potential of an individual. But in case of instruction, it means to impart knowledge of specific subjects or the parts. Then teaching is ranging, or like it has a range of different methods which we use while teaching, and it has a wide array of methods which are used. But in case of instructions, there are generally there are certain orderly things which we actually prepare to give instructions. It can be the classroom instruction, it can be a playground instruction, or it can be some instructions which are created for completing a particular task. But in the other hand, teaching is imparted, it can be imparted in a school or in a library or in any sort of discussion or in a group, wherever you want to, teaching can happen. So, but it have to be comprehensive. But instruction is very much confined to completing a particular task, a structured set of rules which are created to complete a particular task. So now let us see if we want to make a distinction between education and instruction, how we can do. In case of education, education is the full development of all the innate powers of a child, and nothing is actually thrust into this child's mind by force from outside. It develops the child physically, mentally, emotionally, and socially. So in this way, it's a field. Education is a field in wider than in case of the instruction. So it's a wider field. Education is a wider field. On the other hand, if we talk about instruction, instruction means forcing into the mind of a child some predetermined doses of knowledge in a pre-planned way to achieve mental development. So it can be a one-sided development, and that too of memory only. So in this way, it feels, or it is actually a narrow kind of like part of education. It can be said that its field is narrow in comparison with education. Then in case of education, the place of child is central, pivotal, and the child is having the prime importance, and teacher's role is basically subsidiary. We can say that teacher is also important, but foremost importance is given to the child. But in case of instruction, the place of teacher is central. The role of child is secondary. Why? Because teacher is making all those instructions, all those structured, guided, or you can say the steps which are to be followed by the child or the student. So here the role is reversed. Then in case of education, actually pays full attention to the interest, inclinations, and abilities of the child, and nothing is forced into the mind without this child's will or interest. But in case of instruction, it neglects interest or the inclination and capacities of the child or the student. So we provide, actually, if we are giving instructions, we are providing ready-made doses of knowledge and force, and we are forcing this child to actually follow all those steps, and these steps are forced to this child's mind. In case of education, it prepares the child for real life or the real life situations, but instructions prepare the child to pass an exam or to complete a proper, to precise in a skill set and to complete a task. In case of education, all learning is self-learning. It remains stable and permanent and can be applied to to solving the problem of future life. So if something is, if a child is educated, he or she can apply his or her education in different sorts of problems, solving different problems of the real life. In case of instruction, cramming is encouraged. Why? Because we have to complete a task. So once the task is over, there is a possibility that the child or the student forgets the instruction, and it can't be applied to meet another life challenges or another problems to actually solve other problems, because these steps are very specific in nature and created for solving one specific problem. So these are few of the differences between education and instruction. The next concept is the concept of indoctrination. What is this? Indoctrination is the process of inculcating a person with ideas, attitudes, cognitive strategies, or professional methodologies. Human beings are social animals. We all are social animals, and we are actually shaped by cultural contexts. And some degree of indoctrination is actually implicit when we come and under the guidance of our parents, or we interact with our parents. There are certain things which are told by our parents or communicated by our parents, which we have to follow. And in case of parent and child relationship, there are certain essential functions in forming stable communities or shared values, or you can say in case of forming a specific culture, there are certain things which are told to us, and we do actually follow all those things without actually thinking about. These things can be considered to a certain extent as indoctrinations. So the precise boundary between education and indoctrination often lies in the eyes of the person who is actually making this perception. So some distinguish indoctrination from education on the basis that the indoctrinated person is expected not to question or critically examine the doctrine they have learned. Like in case of the first example of culture, there are certain cultural norms or ethics which the person or a child actually follows without questioning, because the parents are following, the elder siblings are following, and a rest of the people who are the part of the society or the culture are following. So the child or this individual also follows without questioning to the ideas or without critically examining to the ideas. So they can be considered as the indoctrination. If we talk about the relationship between teaching and indoctrination, or if we want to make a distinction between teaching and indoctrination, how we can do that? So indoctrination is the process of forming certain beliefs. Some ideas are infused in the mind of the learner from the beginning. So these ideas are continuously put in the minds of the learners, and thus such ideas become their firm beliefs. Why? Because they are practiced, and the individual actually is observing that everybody from the society or everybody surrounding him or her is actually following the same things. So they find it convenient, or they find it compulsory or essential to follow those things, and then a firm belief is actually formed. So that's why we can say that somehow this indoctrination point or the concept is actually there in every individual. If the individual is part of a particular culture or society, there will be some sort of indoctrination which would be found in him or her essentially. But if we want to make a distinction between teaching and indoctrination, how we can do that? So the first thing can be the scope of teaching. We are again and again discussing this, that the scope of teaching is very much broad. But in case of indoctrination, the scope is very narrow. Then the aims of teaching at the development of the potential of the learner. Basically, teaching aims to develop the potential of the learner, but indoctrination aims at changing some beliefs and attitudes. Teaching points out that there are certain different solutions, uh, and these different solutions can be for the same problem or can be for different problems. So teaching actually points out or actually tells the child or the individual about how to solve these problems. But in case of indoctrination, it poses the belief that there are or there is only one solution to the problem. So here there is no any diversity in solving the problem. Here there is only one solution which is given to the this person to solve any specific problem. Then in case of teaching, it provides freedom to the child to learn. But in case of indoctrination, there is no freedom given to the child. Then in case of teaching, discipline is democratic and social discipline is basically emphasized. So we try to make the child basically uh, having some set of discipline in his or her own, and he has to or she has to follow some social discipline rules and all. In case of teaching, like if the child is inside the classroom and the teaching is going on, teacher is saying something, then he or she has to listen and not quarrel with the other counterparts parts, and such sort of small discipline things can be there. But in case of indoctrination, the discipline is very rigid. If you have to do this, you have to do this, you can't deviate. So in these type of very strict discipline rules are there once we talk about the indoctrination. So with this, now we have come to the end of this session. It was a very important session because we were discussing about all those particular terms and the concepts which are very much important once you start with this this topic, or you can say the area of educational philosophy, and you go ahead with the conceptual foundations of education. So here we have seen the concept of teaching, and we have also seen the attributes of teaching, the concept of training and its relationship with teaching. We have also seen the concepts of instruction, indoctrination, and their relationship with teaching. How we can make a distinction, how we can correlate these concepts, we have seen here in this lecture. And we have seen that how all these terminologies, all these concepts help us to make a better society, because whenever we are talking about the education of children, all these concepts should be very much clear in the minds of everybody, be it a teacher or a student or a parent or any stakeholder of the society. So with this, I would just like to make a kind of conclusion. I hope that this discussion becomes fruitful for all of you, and this will be going to extend in much and more lectures. So here are few of those references and suggested links which I referred while preparing this session, and you can also go ahead and check all these links to gain more knowledge. I hope that this discussion proves to be useful for you all, and we will see each other in next session. Till then, thanks from my side. Thank you so much. Dear students, we were watching a video from the topic Introduction to Education and Related Concepts, and here we discuss the concept of teaching, training, instruction, and indoctrination. This video lecture was recorded by faculty at home during the national lockdown period for COVID-19 pandemic using minimal technical resources. Technical errors, if any, are unintentional and may please be ignored. For any queries with regard to this lecture or broadcast, kindly send your email to techsupport@dth.ac.in. Thank you so much.